6 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another Long Island Blues Warehouse. As always, recorded at EKO Studios, Deer Park, New York, the official studio of the Long Island Blues Warehouse. And once again, welcome. Tonight, we're talking to a musician born and raised in New York City. He's been playing since the 60s and surrounds himself with veteran musicians that have pretty much been playing just as long. In the 70s, he toured the U.S. In the 80s, he owned a top recording studio in New York City, having worked with Southside Johnny, James Brown, Joe Cocker, Diana Ross, Stevie Winwood, Bruce Springsteen, Queen, Aerosmith, just to name a few. Tonight, we say hello to this week's featured artist, the Bobby Nathan Band.
Walking on the avenue.
Oh, yeah. This week's featured artist, the Bobby Nathan Band. Bobby! Nicely done, my man. Sorry about that.
Thank you, Mark. Pleasure to be here.
That's what we call coming out of the gate strong, I got to begin by saying. Well done. Welcome to the Blues Warehouse. Welcome to EKO Studios.
It was a good day. We woke up today.
It's a step in the right direction. Always a step in the right direction. Bobby, let's talk about some history. Let's talk about when you began musically. How old were you the first time you picked one of those up?
9.
You were 9?
9.
What was the influence?
My mom decided I needed something to do.
Okay.
Keep me out of trouble. So she got some local guy to teach me guitar.
Were you receptive to it at that
I
early?
hated it.
You hated it.
I hated him.
You wanted to be
and I
out
hated-
playing. You wanted to be out playing with friends.
Yeah, I wanted to be with the frogs and everything else, you know. No, but I hated it. And I hated the teacher, you know.
As well.
Yeah.
So it was a short-lived session with you and this teacher, I'm guessing.
No, I endured.
All right,
But it wasn't my favorite thing.
You pushed through and hung in there.
Yeah.
With the same teacher, or did you get other teachers a couple of years down the road?
He was the guy. Remember?
He was the only guy. How long was it before you passed him and
Well, eventually it ended.
that relationship ended?
Yeah, that ended.
Did you get to advanced players, or did you basically advance on your own?
I started listening to the radio. The radio was the big thing. AM radio, of course, back then.
Sure.
And I started hearing, I think it was Lonnie Mack that I heard, and I heard his version of Memphis. And
Great influence to have, my
And
man.
then I wanted to play, so I picked up most of it from ear from that point.
Okay.
I was an ear guy.
You know what? There's a lot of you guys out there. I'm fascinated the fact that like 90% of the musicians on Long Island can't read charts. They can't read music. They have the ear. And you another testament to that kind of story. So very cool. Let's move ahead to junior high and high school days. What are you doing musically those days? Do you have garage bands going on?
Yeah.
What are you doing musically in junior high and high school?
Exactly. Well, it was a band to play out. There was a lot of school dances and events to play. So that's what we started doing, and we worked every weekend, Friday and Saturday.
So you were pretty passionate with the instrument at this point, practicing all the time, working with other musicians.
Yeah.
Were you working with guys your age? Were you working with musicians older than you?
Most of the guys in the band were the grade ahead of me.
Okay.
Yeah, so-
Okay. And are you playing in bars and things of that nature underage as well? Are you involved in that as well?
50 years ago this summer, it was my first time in a bar in Asbury Park.
Asbury Park.
Yeah.
Wow.
We had a gig opening that summer for Joe Cuba, Bang Bang and all that.
Okay. Very cool, man.
At the Carteret Club, which was right down the block from the Stone Pony.
The Stone Pony, the infamous Stone Pony, right there on the front, on the seafront. Very cool, man. Very cool. I say we put you guys back to work. Let's get into another song. We'll come back and talk to you and some of these other fine players. What are we doing next?
We're going to go down to the Prison of Love. That's where.
Little Robin Ford?
Yeah, Gary's been there. Gary's been to the Prison of Love.
Prison of Love.
You guys good to go?
Yeah.
Once again on the Long Island Blues Warehouse, we are going to keep it moving with the Bobby Nathan Band.
Well, I'm locked up in this prison of love, yeah. I'm locked up in this prison of love. I used to think that love was a good thing. How could love be a sin? But I found out when you turned and left your key, you might as well lock me in. Well, now you're gone. Sometimes a man feels love like a prison. Maybe it makes him a little blind. He's searching for something that he just can't see. That sweet little thing by his side. Now she's gone, and it's my turn to suffer. Well, I'm locked up in this prison of love, yeah. I'm locked up in this prison of love. She's gone, and it's my turn to suffer. Well, I'm locked up in this prison of love, yeah. I'm locked up in this prison of love, and I can't get out.
Hi, this is Marty from Shirley, New York, and you're listening to the Long Island Blues Warehouse.
Oh, you ready to go down to New Orleans? Come on.
I said, baby, what you gonna do? I said, baby, what you gonna do? Oh, well, I'm sick and tired fooling around with you. And I'll tell you why. I get up in the morning, fix you something to eat. Before I go to work, I even brushes your teeth. I come home, you're still in the bed. You got that little red around your head. Oh, baby, what you gonna do? Oh, well, I'm sick and tired fooling around with you. This is the last time I'm telling you to change your way. The last time I'm telling you I mean what I say. The last time I'm telling you to stop that jive before you find yourself outside. Oh, baby, what you gonna do? Oh, well, I'm sick and tired fooling around with you. No more fooling. you something to eat. Before I go to work, I even brush your teeth. I come home, you're still in the bed. You got that little rag around your head. Oh, baby, what you gonna do? Oh, well, I'm sick and tired fooling around with you. This is the last time I'm telling you to change your
Yeah. This week's featured artist, the Bobby Nathan Band, featuring Gary Utah lead vocals on that. Well done, my man. Well done. I want to talk to Bobby again if I can get him in front of that mic.
Oh, yeah, I'm here.
How you doing, Bobby?
Okay.
Well done, my man. That's a good-looking instrument you're holding, by the way.
Thank you.
Very nice, very nice. Let's talk about the 70s, if we can, for a minute.
Well, if you remember it, you weren't there.
Do you remember much about it?
A little.
All right, let's talk about that a little bit you recall. There was a project you were involved in with your now wife, Miss JOANNE GEORGIO, a project called Strawberry?
Right.
Talk to me about this band, Strawberry. It was playing top 40 music at the time, all around the country?
That's right.
How'd you guys start that project?
Well, I went to audition for JOANNE's band.
This was JOANNE's band.
Well, in 1973. But we both left that band, and then we hooked up.
And started your own thing.
Well, we first had a band called Unique.
Okay.
No, Uptown. It was called Uptown. That's what it was called first.
Uptown was what, 76?
73.
73.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we
That's
played
all
it.
right.
We played at Max's Kansas City, and
Very cool, man.
when the new
Very
owners
cool.
took over.
So that lasted for what, a few years?
That lasted for a few years, about a year or so, and then the band broke up, and then we formed another band called Strawberry.
Got it. Okay, very cool, very cool. Let's move into 1978.
1978.
A top studio in New York City, Unique Recording Studios. You guys started this studio.
Yeah, but not in 1978. It wasn't. We grew into being a top studio.
Well, no, in 78 is when it began, right.
Yeah.
And a few years later, you had everybody and their mother recording at this place pretty much.
Yeah, it became a sensation.
What made you decide that was something you wanted to do? You're a full-time musician in the 70s. How'd you go from, and you still played when you had the studio, I imagine.
We came off the road, and our ceiling had caved in our apartment.
Okay.
We had a $67.50 a month rent-controlled apartment. The ceiling caved in, and we couldn't sleep there, so we had to find another place to go. So they had this loft down on 47th Street in what they call the combat zone. Nobody wanted to be there. And it was like $350 a month, so we took it. And then we decided, hey, let's make a studio here, and we'll record ourselves. Yeah, but then we decided that we would have a couple sessions to bring the money in to pay the rent.
Okay.
And then eventually the sessions just became nonstop, and then we never really got to record.
You started working with, let me take a look. You started working with artists like Engelbert Humperdinck, Joe Cocker, Diana Ross, James Brown, Southside Johnny, and the Asbury Jukes.
Yeah, those came in the 80s, but the original thing was like the birth of hip hop. We worked with Arthur Baker and John Roby, and the initial start of Tommy Boy Records, and what they consider the birth of hip hop.
LL Cool J and some of those guys as well?
Yeah.
Run DMC.
A lot of rap music. The studio was always very, very popular for rap artists.
In the beginning days.
All through.
All through. And then later, some of the rock guys came in.
Queen Latifah, Heavy D.
1983, you added an addition to the studio, a state-of-the-art, brand new type of system you introduced to recording. Can you explain that a little bit?
Well, you're referring to MIDI. So
Yes, I am.
We were dubbed the first MIDI recording studio in the world.
Explain what that is a little bit, if you would, please.
It's the interface on a keyboard that's standard today that allowed that keyboard to talk to a computer or another keyboard, which means back up to then, if you had a Fender Rhodes and you played a Fender Rhodes, that's all the sound you could get. But when MIDI came around, you could play the a MIDI'd Fender Rhodes and play strings and horns and marimbas and all kinds of other things. So at the same time, from the one master keyboard. So
how did you stumble into that? How did you come about that technology?
It was exciting stuff, and we got into it.
So you learned about it and you implemented it into the studio?
Oh,
And it grew like wildfire?
Yeah.
Very
and then
cool.
we began adding it to all kinds of vintage instruments.
Is that you buzzing? There we go. And from there, you slowly started to build a list of recording artists that would come in and work with you, like Bruce Springsteen, Billy Ocean, Donna Summer, Billy Idol, David Bowie, Michael Bolton, Janet Jackson, Blondie, Duran Duran, Prince. You guys worked with Prince.
We did a remix.
You
So
did
the
a
big
remix.
thing was at the 80s was 12-inch remixes of popular songs for the club.
Living Color, just to name a few. Aerosmith, Queen, as I mentioned. All these guys, all these artists.
You left out Steve Winwood.
Steve Winwood. I
That
gotta
was a
forget
big one
Stevie
for us.
Winwood. Absolutely. And that's just to name a few.
Right.
And if people want to go, can they go to the website? Unique? Is there a unique site?
There's
they
a
can-
tribute website. I mean, there's not much activity because the studio's been closed since 2004.
Okay. Tremendous history, man. What a great contribution you guys had to live music and recordings.
It was an era of our lives that's all we did. We didn't play really much at
During that time?
No, because
You had no time.
the studio was a 24-hour.
It was growing like wildfire, and you guys had to run that.
Yeah.
Very cool.
It
Now-
ran us.
It ran you. With a lot of help from this young lady, I imagine.
Joanne was instrumental.
I want to grab Joanne if she'll head over to your mic for a second. Joanne, Giorgio, Nathan. Good evening.
Hi, Mark.
How are you doing,
you?
kiddo?
Great. I'm doing great. This beautiful studio. Let
Thank
me
you
just
so
say
much.
that.
Thank you so
Everybody
much.
that works here, this is EKO Studios.
EKO
Right here in
Studios.
Deer Park. Beautiful.
The
Gorgeous.
official studio of the Blues Warehouse. Did you hear about that?
Yes, I know that.
Coincidentally.
Yes.
Coincidentally. What a great dynamic you lend to this project, by the way.
Oh,
How long?
thank you.
Let's start with some history. How long you been playing the keys?
I started playing piano at 16, but when I was 6 and 7 years old, my father taught me mandolin, banjo, and a lot of those little string instruments. And I kept saying, I want a piano, but there was 9 kids. And he was like, we can't afford a piano. So I had to wait till I was 15, and then they surprised me.
9 kids?
9 children, yes.
Do any of those siblings play instruments as well?
They all played.
They
yes.
all play.
Yeah.
Have you guys
whole-
played? Did you guys play in bands together?
Yes, we played at our schools all together.
What about
And
out of school? No touring projects out of school?
We basically played in school, and then we went for lessons
Okay.
all together.
In that order?
Well, first we played a couple of years, and then we went for jazz lessons.
I see.
And by that time, I was almost 17. I was like ready to leave the house and go join a band, which I did. But we
And
went.
what band was that?
My first band was the Butterflies, all-girl band. We traveled the world. We
Traveled the world?
Yeah, well, not the world, but a lot of it.
It felt like the world.
It felt like the world. Yeah, we went on USO tours.
No kidding.
Yeah, we went to Greenland. We went to a bunch of different places in the States. We played for a lot of the troops, and it was great because they used to set up the champagne glasses in the officers' club, and they used to pour the champagne, and it would go down to the glasses, and everybody would grab the. All right, I'm going into the whole thing
That's
here.
all
but
right.
They would grab the glasses of champagne, and they would have one whooping big party, especially up in Greenland.
Wow, very
That
cool.
was.
That's intriguing. That's interesting background and history.
Yeah.
Let's fast forward to the first time you met this guy. It was an audition for a band of yours?
Audition for a band that I was in, a different band, because already I was in an all-girl band and a couple of all-girl bands, and then I was in a couple of bands with guys, and then we were looking for a bass player, and he answered the call, and then he came down and auditioned in Jamaica, Queens, no less,
Okay.
and the rest is history.
The rest is history. Yeah. And that was a few short years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some great history, and background. You guys live down in Florida. You guys are here on Long Island, what, 3-4 months a year?
Yes.
Playing over the summer pretty much?
Oh, yeah.
And then it gets a little chilly, and then you're back down to the homeland.
We fly back down.
Do you guys gig as often? Because you guys are high demand the few months you're on Long Island. You do Wednesdays, you're doing the Jam at Barbecues, you play out east, you're doing shows in the city occasionally?
In
You and
Manhattan?
Yeah, today you guys in Nassau County and in the city, or you pretty much?
Basically, we stay out in the Hamptons area.
Okay.
We go from Islip all the way out to Montauk. That's
Tremaize.
about-
Tremaize and
Tremay,
Islip.
yes, Tremay.
Barbecues, the steady jams on
Barbecues
Wednesdays.
every Wednesday. We do a live jam,
What a
and
hopping jam
everybody
that
is
is.
welcome to come and play. And it's been a big success.
Barbecues in Patchogue every Wednesday night
Yes.
over the summer.
Eric over there,
Starting at 8
Eric
p.m.
Rifkin, yeah. Sponsored by the. Right. Well, the Long Island Blues Society endorses it, and the Blue Point Brewery. Very hard for me to say.
Say that fast.
Summer
3 times.
Ale is our sponsor.
While you're
Yeah.
running this jam at Barbecues.
Yes.
Very cool.
And all the Long Island Blues Society members come down, and the president comes down, Jim Coleman.
Jim
He's
Coleman
there.
comes down.
Yeah, and
I show up occasionally.
You're there.
Just to sit at the
Yes.
end and enjoy some great music and have a
Yes.
beer or two or three.
It's a wonderful thing. Everybody
Rack of
gets
ribs.
together. Rack of
It's-
ribs.
It's great. It's a great venue. You guys do such a great job running that jam every week.
We love it. We love to do it because we love to give back to people that want to come out and jam. It's very important to us.
And you guys do a great job with it. And
Thank
I
you.
thank you so much for this great contribution you give to Long Island with live music, even though you're only here a few months a year. But well done. It's great having you. I say we put you guys back to work. Can we keep the jam?
Thank you, Mark.
Can we keep the jam moving in this room? What do you think, Bobby Nathan? What are we doing next?
We got a little tribute to Gary Moore, the late
Oh
great.
my God!
By Gary, from Gary to Gary.
You good to go? Once again on the Long Island Blues Warehouse, we're going to keep it moving with the Bobby Nathan Band.
Used to be so easy to give my heart away, but I found out the hard way there's a price you had to pay. 'Cause I found that love was no friend of mine. You play on the wind, but you lose all the time. So long, it was so long ago, but I still got the blue for you. Used to be so easy to fall in love again, but I found out the hard way that's a road that leads to pain. 'Cause I found out that love was no friend of mine. You play in the wind, but you lose all the time. So long, it was so long ago, but I still got the blue for you. It's so many years since I've seen your face, but here in my heart there's this empty space where you used to be. So long, it was so long ago, but I still got the blue for you. Though the days come and go, there's but one thing I know, that I've still got the blue for you.
This week's featured artist, the Bobby Nathan Band, featuring Gary Utah, lead vocals. Well done, Gary. Well done. I saw you guys do that at the Jam a couple of weeks ago at Barbecues, and one of the best renditions I've ever seen. And believe me when I tell you, I've seen many. Great job, guys. Great job. Let me talk to Gary Utah if I can for a minute. Speaking of Gary, we're coming back to you, Bobby. Don't go anywhere. But great. I tell you, I really appreciated what you do vocally. And I saw you, Gary, at a Jam a couple of years ago at Frank Lattori's old studio. Where was that? Northport?
Eastport.
Eastport.
Right?
I knew it was one of the ports.
Eastport.
Montauk Highway, somewhere out east.
Luncheonette.
The Luncheonette, that's it. He had an art gallery going on, and they had a little jam on a Sunday, and I captured some video of you doing Mustang Sally. And
when all else fails.
and it just, whatever. It's just the time. And of course I posted it, and of course you're the only guy that doesn't like the rendition I put up. But that's how surprising a musician that doesn't like what he does. But I tell you, man, you're an incredible vocalist. I want to talk about some history. Let's talk about when you began. Were you? When did you start singing to live audiences? Like junior high, high school days? Before that?
My mother.
She was the influence?
She was alive. I sang to her in the 50s.
Okay, so you're singing at home, listening to AM radio, can I imagine, like Bobby talked about earlier?
Cousin Bruce. No, that was too
Cousin
early.
Brucey.
No. Actually, it was Al Jolson.
Al Jolson.
For me, it was Al Jolson in the Jazz Singer. The Jazz Singer. No, this was on the TV thing. $1 Million Movie. And he whistled and he sang, and that was it. That's what it took.
That was the influence for you.
And then it was on AM radio. It was Paul Anka, I'm Just a Lonely Boy.
No kidding.
And I was just a lonely boy.
So you could relate.
And that was where that started.
That's where that all began.
That went to the Four Seasons, and then what really sent me over the top was the Rascals.
The Rascals.
And then the Cream.
And then Cream.
And those guys. And
it just grew from there.
Grew from there, and a lot of others. But
now, are you singing in bands like garage bands or school projects? What do you do in junior high and high school musically?
Well, it was the 60s, and I was doing a lot of that stuff back then. I wasn't singing in bands, but I was trying to. There were some people in my neighborhood that had some bands together, and I kept trying to get involved with them. And actually, my story was I bought myself the Shure SS mic. What number mic is the old mic? The real old-fashioned Elvis
Steven
Presley
Seidel
mic.
now.
The Elvis Presley mic, and I had an amplifier, and I was singing in the basement. I was getting ready to go out and sing with this band of people who were out playing. And two things happened. One night, someone came to borrow it, and they stole it, and I never got it back. So now I didn't have the equipment, and I couldn't afford to buy anymore. And the next thing that happened was I had my big audition going into the city and going in, doing a couple of Rascal songs in this underground place at New York University.
Okay.
The one that's by Washington Square. Is that NYU? NYU.
Okay.
So we sang there, and but prior to getting there, we went through the Midtown Tunnel. And when I got out on the other side of the Midtown Tunnel, I really had a problem. I'm trying to be vague about the 60s. So we got there. I never saw this thing that showed up in the front seat, and they just said, "Here, take some of that." So I put this tube in my mouth, and I just kept breathing.
You know, we're internet radio and the video. There's no FCC regulations.
Well, that's the truth.
So if somebody
happened.
dropped an occasional F-bomb or mentioned the occasional influence due to some chemical of some sort,
that was the influence.
you're not going to be the first guy, and you certainly won't be the last.
So that was the influence. And anyhow, this gig we went to, all of us, I never had that experience before, and all of a sudden, this whole place, which I would have liked to have thought was thousands of people, was probably 20, were all looking at me. And they were just going like this, shaking their heads. And that was it. And then I had a career in the movie business, a career in the Army, and a career in sales. And then when I retired, the whole time I wanted to get back into music, and I kept trying. I did some musical theater for several years, doing regional musical theater. And I got lucky enough to meet these guys.
Which is what I want to ask you next. How did you stumble into this ensemble of players? Was it at a jam? How'd you hook up with Bobby and these guys?
In a jam, but it went in levels. First it was Clutch.
Okay.
And he used to hit me in the back with the bass. Come on, do it right. He'd hit me in the back. Then it was James. And James would do hot hits on the drum. And then to lead me into some, and then they introduced me to Bobby and Joanne. And then I used to just travel around with them like a rugrat for the last 6 years. And then finally, and I loved being a part of this band.
The chemistry's great.
It was fun.
The
it was
chemistry's great.
And then,
You added another great dynamic to this project.
that
and,
was it. And then they finally said, you know what?
This is home for you.
Hang out with us.
Stay. Be a part of the family.
So I'm part of the band.
Very cool, man. Very cool. There's so much. Some of the other things you mentioned, we don't have time to get into, which I'd really like to. I'd like to bring on my live show on a Friday morning at WUSB at 90.1 FM. Maybe Bobby comes up with an acoustic, or you come up with, I don't know, somebody, Frank Latore, anybody, and we could talk more about some other history with you and some additional details, and have you play a few tunes live. So I'd like to talk to you about that for a future project. But
One more thing.
please go ahead.
I have a lot in common with them, with Jamaica, Queens. All right, I was born there.
Oh, no kidding. All right. Good to know. Good to know. Gary, Utah, Gingold on the lead vocals. I thank you so much. Great job with Still Got the Blues. Let me grab the drummer if he'll turn his mic in for a minute. Mr. James Bernard.
Hi, Mark.
How you doing, James?
Hey, I'm great.
Welcome to the show, my man.
Thank you.
Let's talk about some history.
Oh, well, you know, I grew up singing in choirs, like, since I was a baby, and I guess I saw those dots on the paper and started reading music that way, and I was in this military camp when I was 12 years old, and, you know, I used to get calluses on my shoulder from carrying these fake rifles around. And one day, the drummer in the marching band got sick, and I would always play with his drumsticks on the tent floor, a wooden floor, upstate New York. And when he got sick, they kind of shanghaied me into the band, which I loved because I didn't have to carry that darn gun around anymore. And so I did that, and I played in the marching band. I went home, and I took a pair of sticks, and for the next couple of years, I had those sticks, and I used to practice on the furniture in my parents' house.
Okay.
And I dented up the kitchen table before
How old
I
are you?
knew
How
it.
old are you at this point?
At this point, I'm 14 years
Okay,
old.
okay.
I'm denting up the furniture, and my mother said to my dad, "You got to get this kid a drum set so he doesn't wreck the furniture anymore." So my dad bought a used drum set from a person around the block from me in Massapequa, and I started playing in high school bands, and we had this little pleasure bubble of a band that from kids right around my block, and the rest was history for me. I knew what I wanted to do, singing and playing drums. I mean, that's what I did.
You got passionate with it right away?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You practiced a lot, you paradiddles and locked yourself in your room and...
Oh, yeah. I had a cassette tape, a 90-minute tape of stuff like Cream and Led Zeppelin and Humble Pie.
And you just play along.
And I played along to that darn thing till I wore it out. I'd come home from school every day and play that 90-minute tape and bash away. Then it turned into Mahavishnu Orchestra and the Grateful Dead and Chick Corea. And I went to school, you know, music school and stuff like that. We ended up back on the East End of Long Island and was playing with quite a few local musicians out there. And one day, I don't know, maybe Bobby Joanne's drummer got sick or something like that. I filled in for a day, a party or something, I think it was. I substituted drumming, and I think I just kept on playing with him from then on, you know. It was great. It's one of the best bands I've ever been in. Yeah, at least 15 years now.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Do you do anything else musically, or is this your primary and only project?
Well, I freelance a bit, you know. I do local theater
You're
groups
a gun for
out
hire
there.
when you need to be.
Yeah, I try to play as much as possible, 7 days a week.
All right, so I know you're playing 5 or 6 days a week with the Bobby Nathan Band.
That's right.
Pretty much.
That's the way I like it. Woo!
Another great piece of the puzzle, my man. You sound great back there on the kit.
Thank you.
James Bernard on the drums, I thank you so much. We're going to come back and talk to Clutch after the next tune. I say let's put you guys back to work, Bobby Nathan. What are we doing next?
We got a little tribute to Johnny Winter.
What are we doing?
We got the T-Bone Shuffle.
Oh, no kidding. You good to go?
Yeah.
Long Island Blues Warehouse. Once again, this is the Bobby Nathan Band.
Oh, yeah. have a natural ball. Let your hair down, baby. We're gonna have a natural ball. Well, you never know what might happen, and that's why I like to sing it all. Well, have fun while you can. You know it's later than you think. Yeah, have fun while you can. You know it's later than you think. Yeah, you never know what might happen, and that's why I love to sing. Sure. Yeah, you can't take it with you. That's one thing I know for sure. Ain't nothing that a good old T-bone shuffle can't cure.
This week's featured artist, the Bobby Nathan Band. Well done, people, as always. On the bass, Mr. Clutch Riley. How you doing, Clutch?
Hey, pretty good, Mark. Thanks, man.
You know, it's funny, you know, the relationship you and I have. 20 years ago, when my show started on WBAB, we had a live band in the studio every Sunday night. You had more frequent flyer miles
Yes, I
on
did.
that show than any other musician. We must have had you on 3 or 4 times, like the first year.
I think I did
With
5 in a
different
row
bands.
with 5 different bands once.
I don't remember being like that, but it was quite often. It was
Yeah,
quite
yeah.
often. And then fast forward 18 years. This is the first time, like 18 years, I've got you back.
There you go.
So it's a little weird. But welcome back, man.
Thank you, man.
Better late than never.
Yes, sir.
And it's good to see you. Let's talk about some history. Let's talk about when you began. How old were you?
Oh, you know, I grew up in the Air Force, so always moving around. 3rd grade, I had to wait for the school bus, and the high school guys were singing, and I was the kid waiting for the school bus singing in high soprano, to the much annoyance of the choir director, and who said, "Where is that voice coming from?" And finally, they put me in the thing. I didn't tell my mom and dad. It came Christmas time, and there's all these 18-year-old kids sitting behind me doing humming Silent Night, and I got to do 3 paces forward and sing this angelic thing and hopefully not crack my voice. And I heard people applaud, and that was it.
You got the bug right away.
I had to figure out how to get that to happen again. So So mostly it was just being the class clown and just staying after for detention. But moving around base to base, I was always the new kid in every school, so I was always getting beaten up. So I conned my ma. I said, "Hey ma," she was like a auditioned a million times for Broadway stuff, and we had every Broadway show. I was probably the only straight guy that knew every Broadway show tune ever. You know, in the 50s and 60s, and the dialogue in between, and the story and the libretto and who started it. But the bottom line was, I said, "Ma, get me a piano," and she goes, "No, because you'll have to. You need to practice." I said, "If you get a piano, I will stay home after school every day." So I figured the safest way not to get beat up was just study music. You know, and it worked.
So you started with the piano?
I studied piano for 8 years.
8 years?
Classical, yeah.
No kidding.
And then this magical thing happened. You know, I think my first record was in Elvis Presley, was with Old Shep on the Love Me Tender with Old Shep on the B-side.
Okay.
And and Ricky Nelson was on TV, and it was like, look at the girls, look at him. You know,
you got a kick out of that.
And then it all clicked as, you know, I got into that, you know, that guitars were more portable than electric keyboards weren't around yet. You know, maybe I should find something a little bit more portable, and maybe I can get applause and girls. So
did you go to guitar? Did you jump right to the bass?
I was a guitar player for a long time.
Okay.
And as life evolved, you know, I did the whole move to Manhattan. Gertie's Folk City, was a folk singer, was a folk guy. Studied with Eric Darling, who was in the Weavers and the Terriers. Took Pete Seeger's place.
Okay,
Studied banjo, did all that. Evolved into electric guitar. Evolved into played a little bass here and there. It should have occurred to me back then that bass players.
So when did the bass get serious?
Long story. I was away from music for many years, and I got a job with a whole bunch of guys doing theater work, and they had a band. And that band, one of the guys on the crew got a gig on the Norwegian Cruise Line, and I was asked to fill in on bass. And I said, "Guys, I don't do that." And they were all much younger than me. And long story more monotonous, it turned into a 7-year love affair with a band called the Hackensack Men and the Trenton Horns.
No kidding.
And Bobby and Joanne and the Memphis Soul Review and the Hackensack Men and Trenton Horns used to be kind of switch off out at the Stephen Talkhouse. But then I realized that Bobby Nathan had this Monday night jam in the city that all these guys talked about. And one day when it was my turn to leave that band, I wandered like into the jam world and eventually into New York City. And Bobby used to let me get up occasionally, and it was always Monday nights at any Bobby Nathan. You know, there were all guys from Long Island, you know, looking with those eyes, like going, "Please pick me, please pick me." And you would be playing with guys that were your heroes. They were all up there, Moogie Klingman, all these, you know, Kenny Aronson, just, you know, just a who's who of guys. They all went to Bobby's jam on Monday night. And so I guess we reconnected a little bit at that point. And this is my 13th summer, Lucky 13.
Lucky 13.
Yeah.
With this project.
With this project.
Very cool.
That's the Reader's Digest.
You've always
version.
been a high in-demand session player here on Long Island for decades that I'm aware of. I know if I know anytime somebody's like, you know, a bass player, they're always, you know, you're one of the first guys people want to call. You also, something interesting you do, you've been doing for a few years now, you're the head engineer at a state-of-the-art theater in Riverhead called the Suffolk Theater Riverhead. Suffolk, what's the name of it?
It's the Suffolk Theater.
It's the Suffolk Theater in Riverhead.
And basically what it is, it's a 1939 building that's been fully restored back to its Art Deco prominence.
An old movie theater from the from the 30s.
But completely updated with a brand new sound system, digital board, digital lights, the whole thing.
State of the art.
And I get to work with all my heroes still.
You're the head engineer. You got some great bands that come in there.
Yes, this weekend we have Soul Asylum. You know, I got to Benny King's last gig with a band we got to do there. We, you know, I got to hang out with, Southside Johnny and Edgar Winter, and
I got to work with you there a couple of months ago with Roomful of Blues.
there you go.
I got to
And that was a
MC.
great show.
That was a
right?
great show,
That
and
was
I had a
great
lot of
show.
fun doing some MC
And
work.
so, like, it just, I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad, it's like there's a saying, "Don't leave before the miracle happens." So I'm glad I hung in there, because now, I think when you tell the universe that you think you're thinking about retiring, then the joke is you get more work than you can handle. So
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
And you're a tremendous addition to any project you touch. And it's great seeing you still going strong, doing your thing.
Thank you, man.
Clutch Riley on the bass, I thank you so much. You guys are going to play us out. We got time for one more. You're going to play us out. Before you do, let me get into some quick goodbyes. I got to start here on the keyboards with the lovely and talented Joanne, Giorgio, Nathan. Thank you so much, Joanne. I appreciate you were very instrumental in helping me put this together for tonight, so I thank you for that. Thank you so much for making yourselves available to do it. Back there on the drum kit, Mr. James Bernard. Thank you so much, James.
Thank you, Mark. It's great playing here, man.
It's great having you in here, man. You make a great addition to this project, and thank you so much. Back there on the bass, on the end, of course, Mr. Clutch Riley. Thank you again, Clutch.
thank you, Mark, and thank you, Steve. It's so good to see you again, man.
On lead vocals, we got to thank Gary Utah Gingold. Yes. Thank you, Gary.
Thank you.
And last but certainly not least, the incredible talent that he is, Mr. Bobby Nathan. Thank you so much, Bobby. Great having you guys in here today. Look forward to seeing you at many more jams at barbecues.
Many more to come.
And a lot more things you do in the future. And God bless. Keep going strong, my man.
Thank you, Mark.
You guys are going to play us out. Before you do, I need to remind everybody to check out EKO Studios at ekoproductions.com. Once again, they are the official studio of the Long Island Blues Warehouse. For the Blues Warehouse, I'm Mark Klein at liblues.com. And always remember to check out my live show on Friday mornings at 90.1 FM here on Long Island, 8 to 10 every Friday morning, or WUSB.FM, my other Blues Warehouse program. So check that out as well, and thank you so much. We say goodbye and thank them once again as they play us out one more time. Thank you so much. This is the Bobby Nathan Band.